Hello, welcome to Co-Creating the Cosmos, Astro Luna Tarot. Today we're talking about the Cancer new moon happening at 21 degrees, 58 minutes Cancer at 5:43 a.m. Eastern Time on July 14th, 2026. There is a lot happening astrologically right now. July is one of the busiest astrological months of the year, and we have some very big transits coming up. And if you'd like to go deeper on those transits, I have 3 astrologers that I wholeheartedly recommend. I would check out Pam Gregory, Anne Ortley, and/or Rick Levine. They all talk about what's happening. There is really big transits happening on around July 19th, July 20th, basically for the rest of the month, including some things happening. This is all happening around the new moon. What I will say is that we are coming to a major transition point. I could say major, even disruption point, or dissolution. And it's a time for us to really put this work we've been doing, setting intentions, taking actions, like this is a time for us to really be kind of visualizing the next thing. Think Phoenix rising from the ashes, this chance of reinvention, collective reinvention. The other thing I would like to mention is that this moon, 21 degrees, 58 minutes Cancer, is almost exactly opposing the Saturn-Pluto conjunction we had at the very beginning of 2020. That Saturn-Pluto conjunction happened at 22 degrees Capricorn right before the pandemic. So there's something about our emotional processing of what happened at the very beginning of 2020. So we may be experiencing something coming to light, some information we didn't know before, or just something that we understand in a new way, or process in a new way. There's some emotional processing, maybe some physical processing happening. So I like to focus on the moon because that gives me a chance to revisit intentions, to assess shifts and changes in my life, and to just note that time is happening. I remember as a kid, my mother used to say things to me like, "Oh, someday we'll do that." At some point, and I remember at one point saying like, "Someday means never." So for me, it's really helpful to see the passage of time. So if there's something that I want to do with my life, or something I'm curious about, like I feel like the older I get, it's just the more curious I am. If a certain amount of time has passed, and I'm assessing. I can assess, do I really want to do that? Is this open hanging thing? Because, I don't want to feel like someday, I don't want to feel that. I want to be noting shifts and changes and being empowered, right? Working with the moon, especially with these big changes that are coming up, these major aspects that are about to happen, helps us to be in our personal sovereignty while we're connected to divine cosmic energy, And as we are in our personal sovereignty and taking action, making intentions for the highest good of all, we're also, as we elevate our own realities, we elevate the collective. And the more people who can do that, the better these changes that are coming up will be. So I wrote a few things. So tomorrow morning is the new moon. So today, on the 13th of July, make a list of like everything that you would like to just not have in your life, everything that you would like to release or let go of, anything that drains your vitality, anything that makes you feel bad, habits that no longer serve you. Write all those things down and be willing to let them go. If you're like, wow, I can't let this one go, just be like, I am willing to let this go. I wrote on my blog, write all this down on toilet paper. We're in, it's cancer season, it's water. Write it on toilet paper and flush it down the toilet, let it be symbolic, let it be a ritual. Yesterday I found myself at a park and I was walking counterclockwise and I started throwing things off, imagining pulling things out of my chest, out of parts of my body where I feel tight or tense, and just throwing those things off of me in this counterclockwise direction. So, and I talk about doing this so that you can make room. It's like tilling the soil, making room for new things to come in. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Cancer, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about intention setting. And so here we go. The Cancer cycle is a time of honoring the divine feminine. So you're recognizing emotional energy is sacred and wise, intuition and synchronicities is holy guidance. Okay. And our impulse to nurture and protect all living things is evolutionary and creative. Neptune is, I'm going to talk about other planets. Neptune is in Aries right now, sextiling Pluto and Aquarius. So pay attention to your dreams, that pay attention to what comes to you intuitively, and allow that to be guidance for evolutionary change. Caroline Casey, in her book Making the Gods Work for You, Astrological Language of the Psyche, says, Cancer reminds us, I feel what is needed to incubate life and I respond, and what we tend will tend to us. So what you want to see more of in your life, tend to that. If it's not in your life yet, tend to the imagination of it. Write down how you would like your life to be, and spend time imagining. Physically plant a seed during the new moon, and you could even put in the dirt your intentions. You can write your intentions down, put them in the dirt, and nurture that seed, nurture that plant, watch it grow. Nurture yourself. I came up with some questions you might want to ask yourself during the new moon. Have you done your spiritual good housekeeping to create an environment in which nurturing can take place? Do you like your environment? Do you like your home? If you don't, is there something you can do, even if you take like a corner and make that something that feels good? Have you found and healed the parts of yourself and your culture that have experienced homelessness and exile? There's a lot going on in the world with feelings of exile and homelessness, and for the culture. I mean, there are whole cultures in the United States right now being pushed out violently. That affects everyone, How can we, there's some part of ourselves that can relate. How can we heal that? That's a big one. But I think it starts locally. I think it starts personally and then spirals out. Have you given thanks to your mother or mothers, right? So I would even say, think about Earth as mother. What part of yourself do you need to feed? Same thing as nurture, similar. Who and or what in your culture has been neglected and needs nurturing and protection? And what do you want to bring to life? What do you want to mother? Cancer is the mother. Cancer is unseen things. Cancer is conductivity. Cancer is nurturing and protection. Can you make intentions that are responses to the above questions, right? So that's kind of the energy of Cancer, is really, Cancer rules the moon. So this is really a time, if you're ever going to make intentions, I always feel like the Cancer new moon is the time. Because the moon rules Cancer. So during the new moon, right, this is when you use your imagination. This is when you plant the seeds. There are unseen potentials. You want to, this is a time to, dream big, right? You can have a few things that are maybe smaller, but add some big ones in there, and add one or two that includes the whole world, all beings on the planet itself, right? I would say about 10 intentions every month, right? In the first quarter, this is when, if you were looking at a seed, that's when the seedling pushes through the dirt. This is the quarter moon. This is when the moon is, squaring the sun. Nurture, observe, review, weed, take action. So you might start to feel some, you might get some ideas about what kind of actions you need to take. And you may want to weed away the things that don't suit your life, right? That don't suit your intentions. At the full moon, we're in full flower, full awareness. There's a celebration. There's commitment. There's like a public commitment, right? This is when you become really aware of what is actually happening, or you're sharing your awareness with the world, and you can still, weed and, release things you don't want. This is part of committing, right? When you commit to something, other things get let go. And in the last quarter, right, you're harvesting and you're also releasing, right? You're kind of like, you're reaping the rewards, and you're also like reviewing and preparing for the next cycle. So we have this monthly cycle that happens until we have the Leo new moon next month. And then we also have lunar gestation cycle that I like to talk about, where these quarters happen, they happen in lunar families. You'll see that it's going to connect with this 9 months from now. There's going to be this larger kind of growth that happens connected to your new moon intentions. So 9 months from now, in April of 2027, we're going to have a Cancer quarter moon. And then there'll be on January 11th, 2028, 18 months from now, we'll have a Cancer full moon connected to this new moon. And then the last quarter moon will be October 11th, 2028. So the cycles of everything. And then there's an even larger cycle that's every 18 years. But we'll get into that, because it just gets like, I find that if I can think of things in 2 1/4 year cycles, when I started doing my intentions, I started working with the moon when I in the 1990s. I noticed that a lot of my intentions would happen within 2 years. They can happen faster, especially with, they can happen in the monthly cycle. They can happen instantaneously. Who knows? Often we sort of forget about our intentions. The next thing we know, it's like we realize that they've happened. But that's partly why I like to look at the moon, because I like to follow the moon, because you see that time is passing. It could be summer, and then the next thing you know, it's, the fall, it's getting colder. But if you're not really paying attention on a daily basis, time can melt, right? So I am shuffling the cards. A couple cards have jumped out. We're going to check and see the energy for this week, the energy of the new moon. And I'd like to remind you, if you'd like to get a reading with me, you can go to holly-troy.com/tarot and book a reading with me. So what do we have? Oh my God. So it's a major week. The first card that jumped out was the Magician, and the second card is Temperance. So both of these cards really are working with magic. First of all, the Magician basically is the spoken word. So words have power. Uranus in Gemini. I've been thinking of Uranus is in Gemini now. I've been thinking of looking at communication and the way we speak as being ultra powerful. The magician has everything, all the elements, and is calling upon the divine energy, the energy of the cosmos, and the energy of the earth. So set your intentions. Temperance also is Sagittarius. It's like, I feel like this is like as above, so below, as above, so below. We have this angel who is creating. Temperance is also known as art, and it's wild because today I was thinking about this card, and combined with the magician, holy smokes, it's making something out of nothing. It's like taking the feeling, the dream space, and turning it into a completely new way of being. Sagittarius is also ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter has just moved into Leo. And so Jupiter is about the magic of story, and Leo is about creating and having in Jupiter an expansive heart and acting out those stories. Both of these cards are very physical and otherworldly. This makes me think of consciously stating your intention, willing your intention, and this is like taking those intentions and magically mixing them with the cosmos, mixing them with the divine, and seeing what happens. Ultimately being super curious and taking the action. Like, they're both action cards. This is like the human self. This is like the higher self. So cool. I just wanted to flip over the deck. The bottom of the deck, we have the Four of Wands. So there's some kind of arrival through creativity. Like, the action is in motion, and there's trust that there's this there's arrival. This is like arrival. This is like celebration of manifestation. Magic, manifestation. This is a very good week to set intentions. Let the intentions be nurturing, let them uplift your environment. Let them be big. Let them be big. Have a great week. I'll try to see you next week at the quarter moon. If not, I'll definitely see you at the full moon. Peace.